Curious George and the Firefighters by Ray and Hines. This is George. He's a good little monkey and is always very curious. Today, George and his friend, the man with the yellow hat, joined Mrs. Gray and her class on their field trip to the fire station. The fire chief was waiting for everyone right next to a big red fire engine. "Welcome," he said, and he led everyone upstairs to begin the tour. They were in a kitchen with a big table and there were snacks for everyone. The fire chief told them all about being a firefighter. George tried hard to pay attention, but there were so many things for a little monkey to explore. That shiny silver pole in the corner. Where did that go? George was curious. Wow, it went back downstairs. There was the great big fire truck, and there was a map of the city, and there was a whole wall full of boots and hats and coats. George had an idea. First, he stepped into a pair of boots. Next, he picked out a helmet. Finally, George put on a jacket. He was a firefighter. But suddenly, the firefighters all rushed in. "This is not my helmet," said one. "My boots are too big," said another one. "Hurry, hurry," cried the fire chief. A big red light on the map of the city showed everyone exactly where the fire was. There was no time to waste. One by one, the firefighters jumped onto the truck, and so did George. The fire truck with all the firefighters sped out of the fire station, and so did George. The siren wailed and the lights flashed. The truck turned right, the truck turned left. The firefighters and George held on tight. And just like that, the fire engine and all the firefighters arrived at a pizza parlor on Main Street. Smoke was coming out of a window at the back, and a big crowd had gathered on the street. "Thank goodness you're here," cried the chef. The firefighters rushed off and started to unwind the hose. They knew just what to do, and George was ready to help. He climbed up onto the fire engine. But one of the firefighters saw George trying to help, and he took George by the hand and led him away. "Fire's no place for a monkey," said the firefighter. "You stay here where it's safe." George felt terrible. He sat down on the bench and looked around. Next to him on the ground was a bucket full of balls. George reached out and took one of the balls. It fit in his hand just right, just like the apple he had for a snack earlier. A little girl was watching George. He tried to give her the ball, but she was too frightened. So George took another ball and another. "Look," the boy said, "that monkey's juggling." The boy took another ball and tossed it to George. But it went too high. George climbed up onto the fire engine to get it. Now, George had 4 balls to juggle. He threw the balls higher and higher. He juggled with his hands, he juggled with his feet. He could do all kinds of tricks. The boy threw another ball to George, so George threw a ball to the boy. And then the little girl reached down and picked up a ball as well. Soon, all of the children were throwing and catching back and forth. The fire chief came to tell everyone that the fire was out. And just then, the little girl laughed and said, "Ha ha, look, Mummy, a fire monkey." "Hey," called the fire chief, "what are you doing up there?" "What a wonderful idea," the little girl's mother said to the fire chief. "Bringing this brave little monkey to help children when they're frightened." "Oh," said the fire chief. "Well, thank you." Before long, the fire engine was back in the fire station, where a familiar face called, "George!" It was the man with the yellow hat. "This little monkey had quite an adventure," said one of the firefighters. Well, is everyone all right? Asked Mrs. Gray. Yes, it was just a small fire, said the fire chief, and George was a big help. Now, the field trip was coming to an end, but there was one more treat in store. All the children got to take a ride around the neighbourhood in the shiny red fire engine. And they each got their very own fire helmet, even George. And it was just the right size for a brave little monkey. The end.
See you next time. Bye.